Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Keys to the Rock. Ben Rigo, joined by Daniel Woods. 2 new haircuts, new location, new topics. Daniel, good to see you as always, my friend.
How are you doing today? I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm fine. Answering your own question.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Daniel. So last time, obviously, we were joined by none other than
Damian Pitcher, CG Insurance. It's good like that. And he really shared a lot of valuable insight on all things insurance. So if you haven't had the opportunity already, make sure you circle back to our episode 4 and give that a listen to wherever you get your podcast.
And especially now that we're upcoming, getting into the hurricane season, perhaps, hopefully not, but very valuable content there, guys, for everything that you might want to know. So thank you again to Damien.
Yeah, shout out Damien. Great guy. And
absolutely.
Actually, speaking of great guys, we have a fantastic guy on today.
Yeah. Keeps getting better.
Keeps getting better. Yeah. I think we're just...
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say that. But anyway, we just keep one-upping ourselves with guests. And today we actually have RICS Quantity Survey, RICS.
Yeah.
All right. That's something I'm very familiar with. I'm in the works right now trying to get mine. So I look up to this guy a little bit. Don't tell him I said that. But anyway, president and owner of Greymane Contractors is going to be joining us today. And he's going to talk about basically...
Alex DeCouto's his name.
Alex, Alex DeCouto. And,
big leader.
And we basically put it out to the public on our social medias at Rigo Barmy, at the Daniel J or whatever it is.
The Daniel J Woods, not to be confused with Daniel J Woods, the blue tick.
And we asked people what would they like to know about the construction industry? What would they like to know from a construction professional? And we got tons and tons of questions.
Yeah.
And basically, we've got the easy job where we're basically just spitting off some of these questions and we're just going to get into it. And Alex is going to provide as much information as he can. And I'm excited to really have him on. I think this might be a longer than usual episode because it's a lot of information that we're going to squeeze in.
And we probably won't even get through all the questions that we probably would want to ask him.
No,
so
100%.
Definitely, anyway, obviously. Well,
let's switch gears. I'm sorry, my bad, Ben.
Well, I want to kind of segue into where we are.
Well, that's okay.
Go for it.
Where are we, Ben?
So we are now at Azura, guys, and everyone's been super aware of what Azura is all about. Azura, they've been doing multiple new phases. I think surprising to many is just what the real estate industry has been doing over recent years, and the popularity of Azura has just been absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. You can't even buy them. People who have been trying to buy in certain, units and everything, they're all gone. And now they even have a new phase that's, just starting construction. And then now an even newer phase that they're going to be doing further out to the west.
Busy.
Yeah.
Booked and busy. You
great
see
for
the
Bermuda
as you come in.
Yeah.
And it's at the old, what is it, Surfside location? I believe it used to be Surfside location.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's outstanding. You see, we're out here on the South Shore. It's beautiful. It's Paget. It's fantastic. And
sells itself. I think we're in Warwick, but yeah.
We are. Cops Hill. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Anyway.
Apologies. And so, Ben, I know you really wanted to talk about there was like a study or something that you had someone do a project.
Yeah. So Hannah Deacon at Rigo Sotheby's International Realty, she was a wonderful intern for us for the summer. And she put out a survey to over 100 Bermudians. And she's Survey Monkey. Many of you know of that survey engine. And it was fantastic, the feedback she got. So she was reaching out to millennials who are...
what's a millennial?
Well, actually, there's a lot of discrepancy about what a millennial is. There's different segments of millennials and stuff now, but roughly kind of 25, it could be said to be lower to maybe 40. Roughly.
Yeah.
And
it's like a year. It's the years he was born. Like,
exactly.
Like, if he was born from 82 to, or I might be off, 82 to 93 or whatever.
But this portion of the population is actually the busiest in the real estate industry today. So around the world, it's the biggest transfer of wealth that's going to be happening for grandfathers and grandparents and parents, obviously, and for what this segment is going to be, further being more influential in the industry. So she did an amazing survey, and I would love to just share some of those stats. Stat guy.
Good toss.
Thanks, mate.
Ooh, got it.
One take wonders.
One take. Okay.
So just to go through some of these millennial stats, guys. So 29% of millennials said that they were not familiar with the home buying process. They didn't watch Keys to the Rock. Number 2.
I was.
10% of people said they already felt confident about the professional advice provided to them in a real estate transaction. Yet, 79% of those people said they would still be open to learning more.
Wish there was a podcast that could just really fill that void.
Yeah, I know. Well, this was a recent survey, so anyway, it's a good plug for that. Number 4, 85% of millennials said that they have consulted with a real estate agent at some point. However, 64% said that they would they would use or recommend that agent again. So
Interesting.
more than 50%, but honestly, it probably should be more. These are, again, all Bermudian stats. 100% they would said that they would consider buying a home using a real estate agent, which is a good stat for 100 people. So 100 out of 100, which is an interesting one. I've had a friend who bought a place directly, so that's just an interesting take. I guess they know that typically the seller pays the commissions. That's good to know. Number 7, 86% of millennials start viewing properties online. Surprising. I would say that I would have thought 100% or close to that. So 86%. And last point, 43% say they browse real estate monthly. Now, a lot of these people are younger, and so maybe they're just checking out social media and stuff from time to time, but those are really impactful numbers, and I think that's a massive part of our audience as well. No, Stat guy, by the way.
100%.
Stat guy, thanks.
Yeah. And I'd like to also thank Ben for adding the first scripted portion of our podcast. He was doing so great, just being sort of off the cuff, and I appreciate you just reading off of a list. That's great. Anywho, so Ben,
thanks to Scholastic Kids for the reading aspect.
So what are some of the things that I guess your advice would be to the millennial market that is obviously actively shopping in the real estate industry in Bermuda? What's some things that you might sort of say is pro tips?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the urgency or the timing of the individual or the couple or whatever it might be for when they're looking to buy. I mean, it's really, really, really important, as we've kind of hammered on for many episodes, to talk to an agent, someone who will be working in your corner for what you're looking for. But definitely in Bermuda, it's a small market. You're going to have to make some compromises, and typically, which definitely leads into what we're talking about today, you're going to more than likely be open or needing to do some construction to kind of get the house to what you want to do. And what I'm finding is that millennials are far more open to that, and they watch a lot of HGTV and whatever, and they have a lot of ideas. Maybe not the understanding of how realistic some of those ideas might be when you see what people can. They send people on a cruise. They come back to a new house on these shows. It's crazy after a weekend. But in Bermuda, it's a longer process. But there's definitely the appetite of millennials in Bermuda to be open to construction.
No, 100%. Well, I mean, you summed it up, and I think we've actually just did a great intro for our guest. So I think without further ado, we're not going to keep it too long because Alex has got a bunch of great points that he wants to delve into. I think basically let's welcome Alex.
Let's get Alex on. Yeah.
Let's give him a little clap. I'll cut you off. Okay, and we are back. We are here with Alex DeCouto from Greymane, and we're going to jump right into it because we had got a lot of interest, a lot of questions from everyone on social media, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and the Twitters. And what we're going to do is just kick it off. You just tell us about yourself and what do you do? Who's Alex DeCouto?
Sure. My name is Alex DeCouto. I'm president and owner of Greymane Contracting. It's a construction company, and we do commercial and residential construction in Bermuda. We do lots of interesting projects like the beautiful Azura that we're at today. We're the primary contractor on the property. We also do high-end residential construction work, including a house at the bottom of Burnt House Hill, which you might be familiar with. Yeah. And I've been in charge of Greymane for about 15 years now.
15 years?
Yeah, I actually started from the bottom.
Now you're here.
Worked as and now I'm here. I've arrived on the Keys to the Rock podcast.
This is the pinnacle. This is the pinnacle, right?
Exactly. It's all downhill after this. But, well, thank you, Alex, for joining us. And certainly Greymane has a massive name in the industry, and obviously, real estate wise, everything's been crazy lately. Can you talk a little bit about the construction industry as a whole? It seems like you can't drive for 5 minutes without seeing someone with a construction sign outside doing some sort of improvements.
Yeah. High level, what you say all the time, it's hot at the moment. But in terms of detail, it's difficult because nobody's really watching construction like they do with real estate. You can go to the Registry General and see every transaction. There's no one really watching it like that. The Department of Statistics does produce a quarterly bulletin that looks at construction levels. And the last bulletin was the end of 2020. And that quarter was the biggest quarter in the previous 8 quarters.
Wow.
So that's a sign that things are definitely trending up. And if we look at planning applications as well, 2021, the volume of planning applications per month is 30% higher than all of 2020 and still 30% higher than all of 2019.
Wow.
So that just goes to show you, in a couple of metrics that construction work is really taking off. And just anecdotally, I talk with suppliers and architects and subcontractors, and everyone is really flat out at the moment.
Just everyone in all related industries just going, sorry about that. Everyone in all related industries is just going busy right now.
Yeah, workload's going well into next year.
Okay. And so what type of effect does that have, I guess, on the price per square foot? Because that's one of the things that people seeing. There's like, the cost of lumber is increased by, I mean, you'll know better than me, but the number that I've heard is 300%. And, supply chain issues and whatnot, so it's getting more expensive. But at the same time, is that just based off of the demand, or could you, go into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. There's local demand, which is driving our supply side or demand side economics in Bermuda, but there's the whole other sort of COVID situation that I think we've all exhausted pretty much. That's happening in the U.S. and everywhere else that is impacting contractors' ability to secure materials, and that's an ever-changing, fluid situation. Various suppliers are talking about different increases happening all the time, and you get notices of them. The thing about construction projects is that the transaction is sort of one. A contractor agrees to a price really early, and so some of that risk is carried by the contractor of price increases. But what are we going to see in the next sort of 6 to 12 months in terms of contractor pricing? They're going to have to start incorporating some of those increases into their new quotes as they receive and absorb some of the stuff that they've already had to take on board. I do anticipate we're going to see an increase in pricing in the near future.
And what would you, I know it's for a ballpark figure, I guess, for something residential, what would you consider as, I guess, the cost for a price per square foot, the range that you would suggest right now for, let's say, residential new build?
Sure. I want you to know that I hate that question.
I know. I bet you did. And that's,
someone on our team asked me that question within this area the other day. So it completely varies, you could have gold faucets or whatever.
How long is a piece of string? It's a good question, and one that I too get asked all the time. But it's a really difficult metric to do, and sort of what
variables.
we may talk about in a bit is sort of how do contractors build up those prices, because the price per square foot is something that they and many people shoot from the hip on. It's kind of like this metric that you almost work backwards. Like, well, my house cost $1 million and it was 10,000 square feet, therefore the price is X dollars per square foot. But contractors don't really price that way. So it's really difficult to just shoot from the hip. But if I am going to shoot from the hip, you're looking
for
at anywhere for the anywhere between $400 to $700 a square foot at the moment. It depends on
quality of finishes and whatnot.
Exactly. So many variables.
Details.
In that.
So when you're looking, obviously, we've had a lot of questions and stuff, and people reaching out and they're saying, if I'm looking to renovate a house or build a house from scratch, do you guys do like site visits for free? How do people kind of understand what their costs are going to be? Or, and then also maybe talk about, the different engineers and inspections that also might go into helping to price things out for a contractor.
Sure. So when selecting a contractor, I think it'll be important to initially talk with your architect or project manager. And so that's going to be a person, you're going to spend 3 to 6 months with that person first before you're really coming to someone like me to look at work and price the work. And they're going to spend a lot of time. The questions you're going to have of the contractor are going to be, how much, how long, and how quickly can you do it? But in order to answer those questions, the contractor really wants you to define what. So what is he building? What exactly to the nth degree is being specified on the drawings and plans. And so you'll spend a good amount of time with an architect or designer who I would expect would be on this podcast in the future, so I won't steal any of their show.
Steal their show.
But,
answer their question.
You really want to talk with them. They will also have recommendations for contractors, people they've worked with on projects similar to yours, because there'll be different horses for courses, I think, depending on the kind of building that you're doing. And so you'll want to, really define what it is that you're going to do. Pick your windows, pick your appliances, pick every, finish, get engineers to design structures and everything else. And that's going to bring you more certainty when you do approach a contractor with regards to time and cost and how quick. They'll be able to answer that question much more definitively if you've done the work first, defining the scope.
Okay.
All right. So that's interesting. You're answering the best thing about your answers right now. I'm not even going to lie. And it's sort of, we do this very unscripted, but we have a ballpark idea of the questions we want to ask. But you're answering like multiple questions in one go.
Yeah.
And
so we're done.
End of episode. No. So, you touched on it earlier. So how does the contractor actually come up with the quote then, per se?
Good question. So my background is actually, I'm a chartered quantity surveyor.
RICS.
A RICS chartered
Royal
quantity.
Institute of Chartered Surveyors.
Indeed,
I'm familiar with that.
Indeed, yes. I qualified about 15 years ago and have worked as a quantity surveyor since I got back from college too many years ago. And quantity surveyors will work for contractors. They'll also work as independent service providers. So you could hire a quantity surveyor independently, but many work for contractors. And they basically produce bills of quantity for projects. So I would sit down with a set of plans and drawings and break it down to every last brick and yard of concrete and piece of rebar and door and
exciting stuff.
It's
literally right now. One of the reasons why my outfit is so mixed match is because I'm moving houses today, tomorrow, and through the weekend. And
you had to get out the excuse of why.
I'm going to talk about it a lot. But the thing is, our house. So we went out to bid to 5 different contractors. I think it's important. You would probably recommend people to do the same. But the person that we chose was, and this wasn't the only reason, we have a great relationship with them anyway, but they were roughly about 50% of what the highest bid was. And funnily enough, the highest bid also had quoted double the time. So our contractor, and
I would say he probably didn't want that job.
Maybe not, or maybe they're too busy. But how do they? It was just funny to think. What are they actually building? The plans are pretty straightforward. So because everyone's using different quantity surveyors, and I'm assuming only a handful on the island. So how could that possibly be?
There's a lot to unpack in there.
Yeah.
So, and I would take you into the inner workings of what happens when contractors bid on jobs.
The camera. Cut.
But it can be difficult for contractors when, especially bidding on a project for someone as influential as yourself, not participating in a bid. So if you're invited me to bid, and I'm graciously accepting, like, oh wow, this is a great opportunity, but I'm booked up for the next year or two or something, and I don't want to like say no thank you. So some contractors may decide, okay, well, I'm pretty sure the other contractors will bid in sort of this region.
Sure.
I don't want to insult him by not bidding, but so I'll put in a bid, but maybe he overshot it.
Resources and crew are
and maybe there's an error in his spreadsheet. Who knows? It happens.
We haven't spoken since.
Interesting.
It's all good.
It's difficult.
Yeah,
it's difficult bidding
definitely.
sometimes.
Yeah. And just a follow up to that. So I've heard people all the time and they're like, oh gosh, such and such job, even ours is about 2 months overdue, understanding with COVID and everything, a lot of delays in materials and all sorts. But people are like, it's gone over, it's going way over budget. I must say that ours, our contract, it's not gone over budget. Obviously, there's contingencies involved, but it's a little bit delayed, but it's not costing us anymore. So what is the situation when people always say, oh, it's gone way over budget? What's that? How does that even happen if you have a contract in place?
Or how does that get rectified? I guess too, at the same time, right? Who's liable for that situation?
Indeed. And I think the outcome of decisions made very early in the project bear fruit later.
Yes.
And so whether or not a job could possibly be over budget, really that was settled many moons prior when the project was designed and specified and everything else, and the contracts were drawn up. And then engaging with your architect. So I assume your designer has probably stayed on board and kind of seen things through. And that's an important role to play, especially if you're not a sophisticated construction person. You need to have somebody sort of working on your behalf while through the project, not just I've designed my project and therefore let's hand it to the contractor and then off you go.
Yeah.
In theory, like you say, there should be no overruns.
Yeah.
Unless there's unforeseen conditions, like I don't know, there's a World War II bomb underneath your house or something, and you dig a hole and it's like, oh, what's that?
So effectively, if it's delayed and you have those good contracts in place, the margins for the contractor are just going to be.
It's only if you change something.
Exactly.
If you willingly change something, I want to add another bedroom.
Go this way instead of this way and stuff like that. And that comes down to, having a clear thought out process of what you want to accomplish in the first place. And then what you was iterating earlier was sort of the whoever's project managing in a sense, I guess. And then, so I guess switching gears now, because I know Ben gets it a lot, and it's one of the questions that I'm asked, because I have experience sort of doing valuations and stuff like that. And so I guess one of the things that we look at is what's one of the easiest ways, in a sense, for minimum cost to really upgrade your property or your home. Sure. And I'm thinking of just a regular, say a cottage or just a regular house.
Yeah. I have a motto that I repeat all the time, and it's I don't pick it, I just stick it. And so I try to keep my dog out of.
You can apply that.
I try to not get too much involved in what I would call aesthetic improvements, but there's certainly opportunities that homeowners could do to increase the value in their home from a construction point of view. And that's going to center around things that people appreciate more. And Ben's probably got more opinions on this than I do, but obviously everyone loves to redo their kitchen.
Kitchens and bathrobes, but those are probably also the most expensive places.
Indeed, because you've got all sorts of trades in there: mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Obviously carpentry and cabinetry and finishes. And so
tile and all that,
where are you going to get the most bang for your buck? It's going to be around those areas. But then there's other aspects of the structure like doors and windows. People notice and will come in handy when there's things like storms happening. And those are the kinds of things that you'd want to improve on your property.
Interesting.
As I'm just staring off on the coastline here at Azora, it's making me think, obviously there's going to be new ways of construction in the future. Things are always changing. Back in the day it was Bermuda stone, now concrete block. I know a lot of construction methods, even one project in Bermuda, they were importing big slabs of poured concrete. Which wasn't, I didn't want to say it, but
sorry.
But anyway, so, places like that, I think I've heard better for insulation. I mean, is there anything else that's looking to the future in Bermuda that we're going to do?
And one thing about Bermudians, we don't like change very much, but we've got a good thing, I think. We build pretty well and our structures do hold the test of time. And, one of the things though is, concrete block in particular, is a really poor insulator. It's got R values is the kind of term we use to determine how much insulation value it has. And a concrete block has an R value of 1. Which is like the
wow.
0 is no insulation value. So 1, and then like a decent walls, in Canada or the States, you'd want an R value of around 20 or 30 for your exterior walls.
So we're not doing great.
We're not doing great from that. And that's why,
insulation, it's obviously, it doesn't get too cold.
No, exactly. Yeah. But, in January...
It's incredibly hot right now. I keep the blazer on just for the show, but it's hot. I wouldn't wear it normally.
It is pretty sweaty. Yeah. But that's the only thing. Is like in January, February, when it's like 55 outside, then inside it's like, it's like 61,
the
dampness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we could do a better job on that. And there's actually a couple of products out there that there's a little bit of uptake on, and a couple of companies that are trying to take them off. Insulated concrete forms, which is basically... they're polystyrene forms. They're like slabs of really lightweight insulation product that come in like preset widths, and you fill them with concrete, and they form a concrete structure with the formwork on either side, insulated, and you plaster, drywall the inside, plaster the outside.
I've seen stuff like that where they pour it in on Grand Designs in the UK. So that's how they do it.
Yeah. It's been done here in a few instances, but you got to be willing to
take that leap.
That leap.
So
a different and new product.
So would that essentially be a cheaper way of building moving forward?
Not necessarily. No, I think it's going to be
cheaper,
equal,
more inexpensive, probably. I would assume.
I apologize.
It'll be equal, but I think you would see it in return in like energy efficiency and life cycle and that kind of stuff.
We had a great episode on energy efficiency, so if you haven't watched that yet, by all means. with Greenlight Energy.
It was a good episode.
It was a good episode.
Yeah.
Alex watched it.
I did.
And then right after that, he was like, "Can I come on your show?" And he was like, "I'd
Yeah,
love to have you."
it's like,
Anywho,
chill out, mate.
switching gears. So, so you said our structures are very sound. So I guess that leads me to another question. Is it more advantageous to do a new build, or would be best to go on an existing property? Now, I know that's a subjective question because obviously it depends on the quality, but just share your thoughts.
Yeah, sure. I think the biggest factor in real estate is location. Ben would agree, I think. But, I think if you find a great house that has an existing structure on it, you can work wonders in construction. You can do just about anything.
Yeah.
New build, renovation, it kind of doesn't matter. So the only factor I would say weighs it to new construction is that there's just going to be unknowns associated with a renovation that, you're not going to know really what's behind walls and under foundations. And so you'd be entering into that, and a contractor too is going to look at a project that's a renovation, and he's going to maybe factor in some unknown, costs in there. So that risk element, maybe tips it in favor of a new build, but really, anything is possible either way.
Nice. And I would think to that often if someone buys a house, the seller isn't necessarily selling it. The seller always thinks their house is worth this.
Yeah.
The buyer thinks it's worth this. The seller thinks the house, even if it needs renovation, it's, a pretty good house and no one needs to knock it down or gut the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you're going to pay a little bit of a premium for that. And then of course it's going to be very expensive. A lot of unknowns and things that you might find, as opposed to if you buy a piece of land, just the cost per square foot, it'll be, I would think, because land prices aren't as strong at all, it'd probably be more affordable to do it that way. But of course, in Bermuda, the scarcity of land, you can't really find that anyway. So probably better to do land, but where can you find it?
You said a lot of nothing there, man. A lot of nothing.
Play that back. That's very informative, Alex.
Buy land, they're not making any more of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so definitely.
All right. So we are actually, this doesn't lead us to our next question, but we're at a nice waterfront property right now. So is there, there's obviously different approaches. Can you sort of delve into the different approach that you would take if you're dealing with a waterfront property versus an inland property?
I'd say there's not much difference. A lot of design considerations will come into it rather than construction. So, where are you facing your property? How are you dealing with, sort of water encroachment? Obviously at Azura, we're actually quite close to the South Shore edge, and we did a lot of foreshore work and a lot of concrete went in to shore up
solidify this,
the shoreline there. So those are factors that you'd have to consider depending on the property. But otherwise, the difference is negligible between building shoreline versus inshore.
And just a quick, opinion on differences of things. So slate roof versus SKB and things like that. People often ask me, and I don't know, they keep you dry underneath, but what's kind of preferable or more affordable as well?
And what does SKB stand for?
Yeah. That's a good questions.
Do you know? Or are you just a rhetorical question? What does it stand for, Dan? I don't know.
I tried
I don't
to Google
know.
the other day. I just know it's a type of coating, to be honest. So I was waiting for this.
Nobody
episode.
knows. It just
everyone just calls it SKB.
I have some thoughts. I have strong opinions on this, actually.
Okay.
I don't think there's any reason whatsoever that anybody should be building with a slate roof today.
Okay.
Absolutely no reason. It would be like building a house out of Bermuda stone.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I did an extension out of slate. Damn it.
I was gonna say Ben's got the look on his face like he's building slate roof now. You can see it.
That's why the construction was more affordable, perhaps. I don't know.
Well,
I should have gone with the expensive guy.
The price of slate really goes up and down as SKB goes up and down at the moment.
Okay.
It used to just go up every year, and then SKB it's just a better product. It has better insulation value. Slate has no insulation value.
Right.
It doesn't crack or break up like SKB or like slate does.
I'm just interested.
And it's lighter and just improves the design of roofs.
Yeah.
All in all, it's definitely a better roof. I've spent a lot of time on the top of roofs after hurricanes, assessing damage and giving insurance quotes and everything like that. And I could count on one hand. I've been on hundreds of roofs, and I can count on one hand the number of SKB roofs I've had to repair. And even in those cases, it was like a tree fell on the building or something.
Yeah. Really?
They just don't experience the same failure rate as slate, and just overall a better product. The name is the names of the three founders of the product. So The product was
I
actually
would never figure that out.
developed.
I would have never thought
It's like a law firm.
It's it kind of, yeah. It was developed many years ago. This is how long new products take in Bermuda.
Sure.
So it was developed probably 30, 40 years ago.
Really?
And just really slowly uptake. And it's basically a cement board that goes on your roof members, polystyrene foam. So it's like a real, there's dead soldiers over there.
Yeah.
Polystyrene foam that goes glued on top of that, and then a coating on top of that, and it has to be what's called a potable coating, so that when water goes on it, you can drink the water. And that sandwich all goes together to make an SKB roof. The original names were, I know one of them was Berland, the B.
You could just be saying this at this point.
Yeah, Smith.
The K was Kaufman, I believe. I don't know who the S was. I want to say it might be Souza.
We're gonna
Souza.
Okay.
Ricky Souza actually owns or has a piece of that. It's something I'm not really sure who the S is. Maybe someone in the comments can tell us who the S was.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think actually, Alex did mention insurance, and just another tidbit. I'm just getting in the habit of doing this. We had a great episode on insurance last episode. So if you're watching on YouTube, by all means, circle back to that. But I think at this point, I feel like I know a lot more than before.
I've learned a lot of mistakes I've made with my construction decisions, but
you should have talked to Alex beforehand.
I know. He was too busy building Azora. But anyway, no, it's been a pleasure having you on.
It's been great to be on.
Certainly, if anyone has any questions on the construction industry, you can reach out to Alex. We'll have his contact details somewhere here. Reach out to us as well if you need to be in touch with him. And thank you for being on. I really apprate
Much
it.
Appreciate it. Have a good day. You like your clap. And Alex is clapping. Why are you clapping? Yeah, that was very
good job.
All right. So thanks to Alex. It was a great pleasure. Honestly.
Mind blown.
Mind blown?
Yeah, it was very informative.
Very informative.
Yeah.
It was indeed. And honestly, a lot of great points there. And we're going to be looking to have him back on at some point if you'll have us. It has to be a location like this.
If we'll have him.
If you'll have him. Yeah.
Come on, mate.
And just much appreciated generally.
Yeah.
So reach out to Alex or reach out to ourselves if you want to get in contact with him. He answers emails like this, and we'll get back to you immediately. Okay.
No pressure.
No. We're just reshooting that because that sounded sarcastic.
Okay.
It did sound sarcastic, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he does respond.
3, 2, 1.
Go.
And okay, so first off, let's welcome back, and we just want to give a great thank you to Alex DeCouto for joining us.
No.
That was trash. No?
Do you want me to? I'll start.
All right, you start.
I'll start.
You start. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So thank you so very much to Alex DeCouto of Greymane. I thought that was phenomenal. Construction is such a massive part of every house that you see.
A lot of information there, a lot of takeaways, a lot of key points.
Yep.
And just a lot of, I feel like I'm ready to
build a house.
Well, I wouldn't get that far, but I'm ready to consult.
Keep the bricks level, but ultimately, very informative stuff. And reach out to Alex. I think it's something that's ever changing the construction industry. Bermuda, we have our own methods, we have our own storms and everything that we have to do in terms of how we build. But really phenomenal, and they're definitely leaders in the industry. So thanks again to them.
Much appreciated. And I think at this point, we're just going to jump right into our keys to the rock.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to sing this time, but yeah.
Sorry,
keys to the episode. Yeah, yep. Keys to the episode.
Okay, keys to the episode. So I'm going to go first, actually.
Sure.
And my keys to the episode, because of the look on your face when Alex said it, is SKB over Slate. All right.
Yeah.
So I apologize to any Slate companies out there.
Yeah.
But SKB over
Souza,
Slate.
Kaufman, Bauer. Anyway, whatever. SKB though.
SKB.
Definitely team SKB going forward.
And your takeaway? What would your keys
I
to
would
the
say
episode be?
definitely in what is a very, very, very busy time, real estate wise, construction wise, to go out to multiple construction companies when you're looking to do something. Often people, if they're looking to buy a house or what have you, they just bring one contractor for, their opinion on things. But that necessarily wouldn't be your best opportunity for, getting the best bid, the most timely situation, and the best partnership. So go out to multiple construction companies. Greymane obviously is a fantastic one to go with, but yeah, that's, to your advantage to kind of survey the field and see who's out there for you.
100%. And I think now we're at the point where we generally do, what do we do?
Business shout out.
Business shout out. So, the business shout out for today, I think it's just fitting because of where we're located. Mm-hmm. And we're going to go get some cocktails, I believe, after this.
Sure. You're buying.
Okay. Sure. We're going to give a business shout out to Vita at Azora. So
that's why we're shouting them out, just because of the cocktail.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I'm hoping that when they see this, that, they comp me.
They understand the contract.
Yeah,
but,
they comp these drinks. And no, but Vita, it's obvious. It's honestly one of the best views on island, and they make some amazing cocktails up there. And it's a very nice, it's just a nice aura just around the establishment. And so
I should say about Vita, it's a little hidden gem, and because a lot of people don't know about it. And unfortunately, in this kind of COVID climate, they've been a little bit delayed in getting some things off the docks and getting their equipment. But it is open to the public.
And it's outdoor.
It's outdoors. It's open to the public, and they have amazing cocktails, amazing service, and they do food as well. So definitely look them up. They're on social media and everything. And big shout out to Keegan Sterling and his team. They really represent Bermuda and the hospitality industry very well.
All right, so let's get out of there. Let's get it up there to get some drinks. Like, share, subscribe, listen, comment wherever you guys get your podcast from. This is Daniel Woods and Ben Rigo from Keys to the Rock, and thanks for joining us on episode 5.
Thanks for joining us on episode 5.
He likes the last word. He loved the last word. All right, let's get a cocktail.
Cool.